Welcome to the Online Success Journey Podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey Podcast, Patience.
The Online Success Journey continues with episode 380. Every guest shares the path that took them to success. So you'll want to subscribe right now and ensure you'll never miss a journey. I post one journey each week and I would love for you to join me. Joining us today is Mickie Kennedy, an expert at helping small businesses, authors, and startups increase their visibility and credibility. Mickie founded eReleases 22 years plus ago after realizing that small businesses needed a press release service, giving them access to the media and national news wire. Hello, Mickie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. My audience are so excited to hear your story. Just start by telling us one thing we are going to learn from you today that will help us on our journey to success.
So I think that learning about public relations and PR, how that can help with your personal branding or building a business and generate media attention. A lot of people don't realize that, any marketing that they do for themselves or their business can be done on a level that most people feel they couldn't afford by just doing PR, press releases, and sending them out to the media through a service like eReleases.
What background, Mickie? But why do you do what you do?
So I got started about 26 years ago in a telecom research firm as employee number 3. And I had a creative writing background, but because it was writing, they wanted me to figure out how to write press releases and send them to the media. And so I did that, and I got really good at it. And we got a lot of media attention. We got articles in the Financial Times, The Economist, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal. And I just found it was something that I could finesse and get to work. And so that excited me because we were a small business, but we were generating a lot of revenue and a lot of articles and a lot of buzz about us by just sending out press releases to the media. And so at the time, I was faxing. And a lot of the journalists said, could you just start emailing us the press releases? And so I did. And I started building a Rolodex of journalists. And I reached out to journalists and asked if I could just send them press releases related to their beat. And over time, I built a database of 10,000 journalists and then launched 24 years ago eReleases to help basically be a matchmaker between my clients, their press release, and the media, actual journalists. And we also include newswire distribution through PR Newswire, which is the oldest and largest newswire press releases. And so it's a really powerful distribution you get for just a few $100s per press release.
Let's put him on aside. How do you know you are successful?
So for me, I measure my success in, being able to comfortably afford the things I want, but also more importantly, that I'm helping people. I feel like success without the reward of helping people is, sort of one-sided. And so I sort of set it as my mission when I launched eReleases to, be a benefactor of entrepreneurs, small business owners, authors, speakers, startups. And I've always, when given the choice of, trying to maximize profit or give my clients more, I always choose giving my clients more because for me, I want them to succeed. And a success to them looks like getting articles written about them in the media, having journalists write about them, bloggers write about them, have people just cover them in the news. And it's a really humbling experience when you see a small company get the attention that they really deserve. And a lot of people feel that it's just one of these codes that's impossible to crack. But the thing is, most anyone can crack that code if they're willing to be creative and put a lot of thought into it. At the end of the day, a journalist is a matchmaker, and he is trying to determine what news is going to be irresistible to his audience or her audience. And what I try to do is draft a press release that gives him something that's irresistible, something that he wants to share with his audience, and hopefully have him or her write the article about you and get that out. What so many people do is they approach press releases in a "what's in it for me" approach, where the press release is written completely from their goal, which might be to sell a product. And what you really need to do is focus on what makes that product unique, what makes you unique, what is it that it differentiates you in the marketplace. And if you can sort of build that, sometimes it can just be your story. Maybe you're just selling something that everyone sells, but your story, how you began, the obstacles you overcame, that could be your hook, because people do like stories, and journalists love to write in a story format. So anytime you can have an arc where you've overcome obstacles and yet still achieved success as a business, is something that a journalist can get behind and build a story off of. But there's also other things that you can do that are extremely newsworthy. You could do a survey or study within your industry where you create a survey on a product like SurveyMonkey, 4 pages, 4 questions each page, so a total of 16 questions. You just take the link and you can share it on social media. A really great idea is to reach out to a small or independent trade association in your industry and ask if they'll send that link to their members. Mention that you will include them in the press release that you'll be issuing over the wire. A lot of them see that as a win-win opportunity for them to get a little media attention as well, and they'll send it to their members. So then once you've got the survey, what were the big aha moments? What were the surprises in the survey? Take those 2 or 3 really intriguing questions that you asked and the answers that were surprising, and build a press release out of it. Put an amazing quote in there of your analysis of why you feel the survey showed a certain result, that a certain percentage of people like or don't like a certain thing. And then you can take that release and send it to the media. And that is news, because it's got data in it and it's got analysis in it. And anybody can do this. I've had a local auto repair shop in Pennsylvania do this. I've had carpet companies, in a little town be able to do something like this. And it is amazing that if you just put yourself out there and, do something like this, you can really establish some authority and sort of garner recognition as an expert in your industry.
What was your biggest challenge that you learned overcome the success?
I think for me, the biggest challenge was recognizing that I am not a good manager. Early in my business, I had terrible turnover. Most employees stayed about a year. I had a friend that was in a marketing mastermind with me who was in HR. And after hearing me complain again and again, she said, I will interview your customers. I'll interview your staff. I'll try to figure out what's wrong and how to fix it. And she came back and said, your customers love the support they receive. They feel the employees are great. The employees feel like you micromanage them and that they can never do anything right and that you're constantly critical. And so, based off of that, I decided I wasn't the right person to be in charge of my staff. So I put someone else in place, and I walked away from the office. I focused mainly on marketing and strategy and education. And I just started working from home in April of 2015. And almost everybody that was there at the time that I left in April 2015 is still there. And we have a few more people that we've hired over the years because we've grown. But, the turnover problem has been eliminated by getting rid of me out of the office. I think being an entrepreneur, I want everything to be perfect. And I was just coming down too hard on my employees. and not recognizing that they were doing a really good job, that my clients were having a really quality experience, and I just wasn't giving them the credit for that.
Tell my audience about the magic moment, the day it suddenly all went right for you.
I think for me, the day it went really all right was, I think, when I brought PR Newswire into the business and we were able to negotiate a way for our customers to get Newswire distribution. You have to recognize that PR Newswire charges as much as $1,500 to move a press release out nationally. And my customers at the time were paying between $200 and $300. And so it just seemed insurmountable that we were going to be able to negotiate rates that would make it possible for our clients to get a national press release over the wire. And by basically lobbying to them as the fact that small businesses matter, and it may not seem like much to them, but it is a lot financially, and they just could never afford to pay that much money. And, they should have access to the wire. They're going to grow. They're going to be bigger companies. And then maybe they could afford to use the Newswire directly. They saw us as a partner. And as a result, my clients get that national distribution over PR Newswire without paying $1,500. And that really excites me. And I feel like it's a big game changer because the leverage you can get over a Newswire is really powerful. I had one client during the pandemic who did a press release for a very short-lived project they created called the Dining Bond Initiative. And it was basically designed to help people nominate their favorite local restaurant, which was likely closed due to the pandemic. And if they were able to get in contact with that restaurant, you could make a donation that would immediately go to them and be secured through like a gift certificate or what they were calling a dining bond. And it was a very short-lived effort. Generated over 150 articles. Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, all the major publications picked it up. A lot of food magazines and trade publications, and dozens and dozens of newspapers across the U.S. And it generated millions of dollars in revenue for businesses that were closed. And all of this for what would have cost $300 or $400 to send that press release out through our service. I did it for free because it was a great project and I believed in it. But I feel like that's one of the things where I felt like we really made a difference.
What have you learned from business as a whole?
I think among the lessons that I've learned over the years in my business, one of the important things is to never overspend. Never spend blindly. Always be cautious and take little steps and test everything. I learned when I was doing the marketing for my business, I got really good at Google ads. And one of the things that I discovered is that you can send traffic to two different pages. And so I would take one page and I would make one little change. And then I would compare the two pages as conversions came in. And they call it A/B split testing. And that really opened my eyes to how small incremental changes can make a huge difference in your business. For example, a different headline could be a 5% or 10% increase in conversions. If you could then do that and you make another change that gives you 5% change here, 5% change here, over time, you might be getting double the amount of conversions than you used to. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can be just small incremental changes over time. And I've applied that principle throughout much of my business, in which I make these small incremental changes and I test a lot. I test when a new customer comes on board. We used to send them a package of fun, quirky stuff. And a lot of it was Baltimore centric because we're in the Baltimore, Maryland area. And I tested it compared to just sending them a book and a letter. And over 6 months, there was a population of new customers where half received that box and the other half just received a book and a letter. And then I measured the lifetime value of these customers. And what I found was the people who received the book and the letter were 3 times more profitable. And I think the reasoning is that box that I was sending people was fun, but it could come across as being a little unprofessional. And I think that makes people a little cautious doing business with you. And I think that just sending a book with a letter just presents yourself more professionally. And so these are the type of things that I do throughout my business. I do the same thing with business processes. How do we onboard customers? Is there something we could do that might be better? Let's test it. Let's take half the people and onboard them this way and the other half onboard them another way. And then just look at them and measure them over time and see if there is a difference. And so I get excited about that from a marketing standpoint. And I feel like, so many people feel like you have to make every right decision. And you can make lots of little wrong decisions and be fine as long as you're making lots of incremental positive changes and then incorporating those positive changes into your business.
What tools or support do you use to continue your success?
I rely on marketing masterminds, having a group of like-minded people who are really smart and growing their business is valuable. I find that, networking with others, talking about what's working in your business, what's not, and having them talk about what's working in their business and not is a really great place where you really are feeding yourself and you're getting a lot of great advice. Sometimes people will give you suggestions that just can be game changers. And I think that that's a really powerful thing. And, being able to have peers in the entrepreneurial world is powerful because a lot of times your journey seems like you're alone, and you don't have to be. You can reach out and, network and be part of a group of other people who may not be in the same business as you, but they're in the online space. They're growing their business. They're facing challenges. They're overcoming challenges.
If you could rerun the first year of your business, what would you definitely not do?
I think that it's hard to say. I feel like a lot of the things that I've done have led me to where I am today, and I love where I am today. So I almost don't want to mess that up or change it. I feel like the mistakes that I've made, the setbacks I've had, kind of helped me be the entrepreneur that I am. And so I would probably not do anything differently. I mean, we always wish that we had done something slightly different. And I kind of feel like that's maybe the wrong attitude, because who you are is because of the mistakes you've made and the little challenges that you've overcome.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
I think the one thing has been letting go. I talked about leaving my office and, not micromanaging my staff anymore. I think it's like hiring people and trusting them. And I think, rather than constantly circle back and try to look over their shoulder that everything is going well, put metrics in place that you can measure and confirm that things are going well. And, using those same metrics, you can identify when things are not going well. And I think that, trust is really hard, I think among entrepreneurs, because we're perfectionists. So many of us go in business or at least I did. I went in business for myself because I didn't like working with other people. I prefer working on my own and, having my own projects and doing my own thing. But as you build a business, you have to decide, am I going to take on staff? Am I going to take on things? And if you do, it's a learning experience. And so I think for me, letting go and trusting people are really powerful things.
What grounds you?
I think what grounds me is my creative mind. I came from a creative writing background. So I really am grounded by language, poetry, in particular. I like to write poetry. I like to read poetry. I like to see the world through the lens of poets and people who capture wonderful images and thoughts and philosophical ideas through words.
Is that what you did before you started your eReleases company?
I finished a Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing with an emphasis in poetry, and I assumed I would wait tables and be a poet at night. And what I found is I waited tables and it hurt my back, it hurt my knees, it hurt my ankles being on my feet 12 hours a day. And so I decided I wanted a safe office job. And that's when I got the job at that telecom research firm. I was employee number 3, and it was a startup. And because I had the writing background, even though it was creative writing, they told me to figure out press releases. So yeah, I do have that poetry background.
Thank you. Do you have mentors or coaches in your business?
So I have this marketing mastermind that I mentioned, and I cycle in and out of it. Sometimes I need a little time to be meditative and think about my business and other things. And then sometimes I'm really engaged in part of that marketing mastermind that meets 3 or 4 times a year, other business owners. It is led by a mentor, someone that I really respect and follow his writing and his newsletters and just what he's all about. But I feel like it's really important to have people that you look up to and that you can get ideas from and that you can bounce ideas across. And so I find that, that's been really helpful over the years.
What is the most valuable thing your mastermind group has told you?
So one of them was that I wasn't emailing my customers enough, and that I needed to have a big promotion once or twice a year and send out emails to my customers and drum up business for them to buy. It's probably added, I don't know, about $8 million in revenue to my business, and continues to add because I do this twice a year promotion. It generates hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. And I was afraid to be aggressive with email with my customers. I only emailed them when they were in the midst of an order, and I wasn't staying in contact with them after the sale. And so I started to really just nurture them after the sale and talk to them and communicate ideas and advice and tips for their next press release. And as a result, they're better educated and they're more engaged. And, we have a lot of people who use us again and again. And I found that really helpful. It seems completely intuitive, but I was, inexperienced. I knew that I didn't like lots of email from people, but that doesn't mean that that's wrong for your customers. It just means you have to do it in a way that has integrity and that you're not spamming them, but you are getting emails out to them on a regular basis and reminding them of promotions and things like that. And so I've learned to balance what I feel is an acceptable rate. And, what speaks to that is very few people have unsubscribed. So obviously they're not feeling annoyed or like I'm being too aggressive. But to me, it initially felt aggressive because I'm just used to less emails better. But I recognize now that I was doing a disservice to my customers because by not informing them and educating them and staying in contact with them, they weren't being given the tools and resources to do that next press release.
What is one thing no one knows about you?
I recently finished a manuscript of poetry and I'm looking for a publisher. And so not a lot of people know about that.
How long did it take you?
So it took me a year to edit it. I'm a big writer, but I write in a very rough draft. And I don't like going back and editing it. It's so much work. It's 10 times more work to edit poetry than to just write it. And so I was sitting on 800 poems I'd written in the last few years. And I started editing and I put together this manuscript. And I spent a whole year revising and editing a group of poems until I've got something that I feel is really polished and I'm really happy with it.
Let's talk about your business. Tell us more about it and how can we join you?
Right. So eReleases has been in business for over 24 years. We specialize in helping people distribute their press releases. And, it's very often that people come to us and they don't even know what a press release is. And that's okay. What you just have to realize is it's an announcement to the media, usually written in a third person. You probably will have a first person quote in there, and you're going to say something intriguing or clever or powerful, and and it's going to announce something that hopefully is strategic or newsworthy. And I'd mentioned the survey idea. There's lots of other things that you can do that are more strategic and newsworthy than the average type of press release. Most press releases are personnel changes, like we're announcing a new hire in the HR department, and that's not very newsworthy. And so I always tell my customers, save those press releases to send to your local newspaper, maybe your trade publication. But if you're going to spend money to go over a newswire through a service like eReleases, you really want to be a little more strategic with what you're announcing. And so I have a free masterclass that teaches you strategic types of press releases, and it's completely free. And it's at eReleases.com/plan, PLAN. The survey study type of press release is one that I talk about, but there's really several that I discuss. And I feel like if anybody's new to PR or don't know anything about press releases, if they were to take that 1 hour video masterclass, they would have a strong understanding of what they could do with press releases, what ideas they could use from their business. And I think that's a really great way for people to start and to sort of get out there and understand the opportunities that exist. And again, that's at eReleases.com/plan, PLAN.
Thank you. There will be more from Mickie in a moment. If you are encouraged by Mickie's journey, please go to my website at onlinesuccessjourney.com, where you'll find more amazing free content. Are you struggling to achieve one or more of your major goals? Do things like fear, confusion, and overwhelm get in the way? Then maybe I can help. I work with clients to support them get unstuck and make massive leaps forward to create their dream life. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com/coaching and let's chat on Zoom to see if we are the right fit for each other. That's onlinesuccessjourney.com/coaching. Now, Mickie, I would love for you to share more with my audience if you are up for it.
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Do you watch movies or read books?
I do a little bit of both. I like to read poetry books, and I also in the evening will watch a movie or a series on TV.
Tell us, what is your favorite book that has some relevance to being an entrepreneur?
So I am going to say the 80-20 of marketing by Perry Marshall. I think it's the 80-20 sales and marketing. The Definitive Guide by Perry Marshall is a great book and a great place to start. It's all about those incremental changes you can make in your business. And that's the person who leads that marketing mastermind that I was part of. And I think that what the book is right and really gets you to recognize is that not only are there opportunities out there in your business to take advantage of, and it might be building a higher end product or building a lower end product, but also instances where you recognize that, for example, maybe 20% of your customers cause 80% of your problems. Maybe that 20% results in more chargebacks and complaints and things like that. And if you were to eliminate them and grow the 80% of your business, you could sometimes greatly reduce the labor that's involved in your business and have a better lifestyle in which you're not being inundated with bad customers or people that just aren't a good fit for you. And there's a lot of little instances like that in the book. And I find it's a really great place to start for any marketer.
If your business was down to its last $100, how would you invest it?
I think for me, it would be in networking and talking to others. I feel like so many people are trying to figure out social media, whether it's TikTok or Pinterest or whatever is popular today, and LinkedIn, and people do it, but they just do a post and then they move on, and there's very little engagement happening. There are very few people making a direct connection, and I think that true networking, making a direct connection, is powerful. And whether you do it through social media or a face-to-face at a conference or something like that, I think networking is the most powerful thing you can do, because you can easily align yourself with someone who needs what you've got and immediately create customers without having to do a lot of work. And initially, if you're down to $100, you might be willing to do a lot more that, someone like myself who has a multi-million-dollar business may not be willing to do, because I've streamlined everything. But if I was, really down to $100, I'd be looking at all the avenues I could have to bring capital in. And one of the things is networking, figuring out what people need, and can I provide that, and how could I provide that? And I think that that's one of the things that a smart entrepreneur does. I said yes to all the money that I could get when I was starting out. And so I would do stuff that wasn't my strength, and I did it, and the people were happy with it. But, I never turned money away when I was broke. And I think that when you're down to $100, that same approach can really work for you. And I think that over time, and as you build your revenue back, you can then decide what are those 80-20 ideas that you want to keep and the things you want to get rid of.
If you are going to keep a note to yourself in your pocket every day, what would be written on it?
I think it would probably be something, inspirational, like an inspirational quote or something like that. There's the quote by Audrey Hepburn: "Nothing is impossible. The word itself says I'm possible." And I think that something like that could really be powerful if you're in a place where you need encouragement. I feel like I'm pretty grounded, so I don't need that. But that was a quote that I kind of recalled in the past when I was in a place where things just seemed out of control. And just taking the actual word impossible and breaking it into I'm possible gives you a different mindset. And I think that so many times the bottlenecks we encounter are our own. And by refusing to accept those bottlenecks and moving forward is how we get through obstacles. It's how we overcome things. It's how we change and adapt and become better people.
What is your next chapter?
I think for me, my next chapter is, just having a better work-life balance. I've been spending a lot more time with poetry. I continue to want to do that. It feeds me. I love it. And I think that, I'm also going to stay open to the changes in the PR world. We're seeing a lot of changes where more video is being more prominent. So keeping an eye out for new technologies and how that could be applied to press releases is one of the things that I'm going to keep abreast of. And I'm just going to keep trying to help people and educate people, just like today's interview. I'm all about education. I believe that one of the most valuable things you can do as an entrepreneur is learn and be open to learning, and also being open to possible successes. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that I've worked with over the years that would tell me I'm too small. The media wouldn't be interested in me. And you have to realize that small companies, mom and pops, solo entrepreneurs are among the types of companies that journalists love best. journalists like to be seen as curators, and they like to discover small little gems to share with their audience. And you probably are one of those gems. And it's just a matter of presenting yourself and claiming what is rightfully your success out there.
Do you feel like you succeeded or like you're only on the way?
I definitely feel like I've succeeded. I feel like I've, for someone who just wanted to be a poet and wait tables, I've got, almost a dozen employees. I have many thousands of happy customers. I'm helping small businesses get access to the media, allowing them to reach the newswire for a fraction of what it normally costs. I feel like I'm making a difference, and that really energizes me, and I really feel successful.
Will you ever stop?
I don't think so. I've been asked before, what does retirement look like for you? Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't see myself ever not wanting to do this. Writing poetry on one hand, and then the other hand, helping businesses. I think that as long as I'm out there helping, I feel like just continue. And I don't see it as work. I really love what I do. And, if someone offered me a lot of money to sell my business, I definitely consider it, but I don't think I would take it because I would hate to lose what I have and, that purpose that I have.
Remind us how we can connect with you.
Sure. So the website is eReleases.com. All my social media is on the lower right of that page. And if you're looking at PR, I recommend checking out the free masterclass at eReleases.com/plan, PLAN. On the website, you'll notice we have chat, we have a phone number. There's no salespeople, just editors. So feel free to chat or email or call. And if you have questions, we'll walk you through it. We walk people through their first press release all the time. And we're very approachable and we're helpful. Even if you just want us to review a press release or an idea that you have, we would do that at no charge, whether you use us or not.
Mickie, it's been great to have you here to share your online success journey with us.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
Remember, success is a journey. Don't wait. Let's start the journey. Patience and Mickie.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to Patience and her guest and want you to know that there are hundreds of episodes available at onlinesuccessjourney.com. Patience would like to thank you for listening to the podcast, and she has a free gift for you on her website, including an audio compilation of her guests' best tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. Additionally, there are special clips of over 250 episodes that have never aired on the podcast and are only available to members of the Online Success Journey. Check the website and click on Join Now to get free and instant access. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps us each chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed on the favorite platform you have to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review the podcast at Apple Podcasts and other sites. We appreciate your help and your willingness to share the journey. One last thing. If you're feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed on your own journey, Patience can help. Check out our coaching sessions on how to set goals and double your productivity while you're at the website. Working with Patience is a great way to get back on the right path. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.